So what I want to show you guys now, and this applies, I'm going to show you how to bring in pictures from the internet or from email or a phone, thumb drive, whatever. Okay. So I don't I don't have a thumb drive really that has any pictures. There's no email on this machine. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to pull a picture in from the web. Okay. The same rule applies to all of them. Okay. Jorge, yeah, you got some pictures.
Well, I got all my pictures there.
Okay. So we're gonna go to uh,
www.jorgecustodio.com. You see, we can take some of those pictures.
okay.
Yes. English, fine.
Let's do Espanol. Yeah, I need to practice.
No,
Es más o
this guy
menos.
helped.
It's
He
okay.
helped me on this. This
I
is a
know,
labor
man.
from this guy. He helped me on this.
I grew up in San Antonio, and I had good friends that were.
Oh, look how cool that looking.
That's great. Okay, so this is just going through different images, and it's a lot of flash stuff going on here. So,
It's coming now. There you go. Now we'll go
okay,
to the top.
this one, galleries.
Galleries, correct.
Okay, so let's go to. All right.
Any of these, they're good.
Okay, let's do Texas.
We don't want people.
Okay, so we're going to Texas, Tejas.
It's loading.
Clic aquí para ver tamaño completo.
This is full size.
Okay.
Place. There you go. It's loading.
Okay. So, Padre Island. Okay. Corpus Christi is misspelled. Let's see
Yeah.
here.
I was in Mexico.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to buy it because I don't have any money, but I do want to steal it because
That's the only picture I
I'm
got
a
from
thief.
Texas anyway.
Okay, that's all right. Let's see if I can drag and drop it. See what I did here? I'm gonna copy it from this file as so on, right? So there it is. Now I have it. Right there it is.
Oh. I told you that I don't want to right click and copy. After 3 years, they still messing
Okay.
up.
Okay, so here's the picture, right? Now it's on my desktop of my computer. I could, if it was on a thumb drive, I could have gone to my computer, to the thumb drive or whatever,
Right.
put it on the desktop. In fact, it doesn't even have to, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as it's on the computer. Okay? Same thing from an email. I could have told it to save to my desktop or whatever. It doesn't have to be the desktop. In fact, yeah, in fact, if I wanted to keep my desktop tidy, I would go to the C drive, I would go to GlobeCaster, I would go to bins. Okay, see GlobeCaster bins. That's the low. Remember, that's the default. Remember, if you X out of a bin and you right click and say new bin window, it always takes you here. There's my RSD, right? So I open that and I go into my training. There's the folders that I created earlier, right? I'm going to go to stills. There's my Thanksgiving picture that I stole earlier, right? So I'm going to put that right there, right? In fact, I'll delete this one. I don't need it. Okay. So now, if I go back into the switcher and I'm going to go to that folder, which is here, stills. There's Padre Island, right?
Can we also rename it from here? It has to be from Windows Explorer.
Oh, you can rename it here too. All right, and so there's the image, right? Now, remember what we talked about earlier? 720 by 486 should be your right screen size. So, I mean, it's obviously taking this larger image and trying to squeeze it down, and it'll create bars on there. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not. If it's not, let's say I'm going to go into the character generator. This is the easiest place to do this is character generator. I'm going to get rid of whatever's in here. Remember earlier I right click in this and I say new project. It just gets rid of whatever's there. Okay, now I'm going to go into my stills folder and drag and drop this guy in. Okay. Now I'm going to select it. And remember how we did here earlier? I don't want to grab these because it'll distort the image, right? It'll make it too tall or too wide. So I'm grabbing this one right here and it just basically keeps the aspect ratio correct, right? Right? So now I can choose, okay, well, I really like the birds in the center there, or maybe I want to see more beach, and now I just save it, right? So I'm going to save it not as an overlay, but as a still, right? Because I don't want it to be a downstream key.
We would have done save now. Wouldn't have modified the original file
If I hit save now, I don't know that it does. Let's try. No. So I'm going to drag and drop it because the original file that we loaded was a JPEG, and these files that we're creating are our own file type.
Automatically, they do the translation.
Right.
You have to tell them that.
Right.
What is the extension on it?
.tfs. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to show me or not, but .tfs. Okay. So now I've done that. I did all that work, right? Now let's say I wanted to go grab something else from Jorge's site, because remember oh, you only got one on that one.
Go to the other.
Okay.
That was open for the future.
Okay, so I'm
But
gonna.
my wife don't let me go to where I used to live.
Okay, she don't let you go.
Houston,
Okay, so I'm gonna go. Where do I want to go? Gallerias again. Okay, let's go to Arizona this time.
No, man, I get in trouble. Joe, don't talk about that.
Car-
Who got in trouble?
so Cargando is loading, I guess. All right, so that's a really pretty picture. These are all pretty pictures. What's this? This is weird. What is that?
That's the first house built in Casa Grande.
Wow,
That's the original Casa Grande.
that's awesome.
It's a part of our history.
I should
That's
know.
all way north between Arizona and Utah.
Okay, that's pretty too, man. Get in a boat and go out there.
And those are horizontal.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's go back because I love water. Okay, so we're gonna take this and my screen is full screen. I can't really drag and drop it right now. So we're gonna create a little more space for myself. Minimize these things. Let's go back. We're in a slideshow and drag and drop. Steal from Jorge again. And, all right. Now, what I can do is, it's on my desktop right now. If I want to, I can right click on parent and choose desktop, and there it is, right? And I can go ahead and put it over in this folder now. And then watch this. I'm going to drag and drop it right on top there, and all that editing that I did earlier is already done because I've zoomed in on it, and whatnot. Yeah, so maybe I'm going to move this over this way a little bit, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and let's say I'm happy with that. Right?
What's the purpose of that square line, the white line? Is you
Oh,
cannot
this,
go.
yeah. So the purpose of this, they call that safe title area. This
Okay.
white line is safe title. That means that as long as you type, letters within that box,
Stay there.
well, people will be able to see it on any television set, no matter how old, right? But
Right.
if you come over here and they may not see that W.
Gotcha.
It's a safe title. So we'll call it Awa Pura. Okay. So now I've created this new graphic, and you can type text, and that's where I'm going with this. So you could say on the phone, right? And then we have a graphic of a phone. So let's go to the internet again and steal some more. So we'll just say on the phone graphic. Let's just, oops, misspelled that. Let's see what happens. And then we go over here and I do images, right? So there's some phones, right? So, I don't know. Which one do we like the most?
The one with the phone on
This
the
one?
the heart bottom right there.
That one right
On
there?
the phone, on the
Okay,
phone.
okay, cool. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to come over here and say full size image, right? And so that's a good size image. And let's, again, drag and drop that guy because we're thieves in the night here. Okay. And then we go back into the character generator. And maybe I don't want this graphic now anymore, so we're going to go, it doesn't refresh the desktop for us, so we need to go back and just choose desktop again and then drag and drop it. Now maybe since it's a white background, what I'll do is I'll just create a white background, like a solid color. And how do I do that? Okay, so when we first started, we were in CG projects, which is the default, right? And then on this side, it had CG sampler. Okay. Now I could use one of these here, like this black one, and just drag it in, and it's a black color. Remember how we changed the color of it? We select it, and then go to Face, Color Properties, and set that for white.
How you control the layers?
Basically, you can right click on each layer and choose front, back, up,
Okay,
down.
got it now. There you go. That's what I was looking. Like that one, I want front.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna set that for black. All right. Now we've got a new graphic. Maybe I want it up here actually, so I'm gonna put my space bar there and then hit, you know, that
See,
way.
like because you see that it cut on the bottom of the heart.
Yeah.
You cannot get rid of that, right?
No, because that's the graphic that I stole. It was just
It was
like
like
that.
that?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
yeah, I could. Yeah, if we go back and just double check. Yeah, see how it's cut
Oh, I
off.
see. Okay, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So I noticed that this is almost 16 by 9.
It's because of this monitor. This monitor is, yeah, if this were a 4x3 monitor, it would look
But
correct.
even if that was the case, you said that the resolution was 720 by 486,
Right.
which is close. It's not 4:3.
That is 4.3.
Is it?
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So then when you go back to the program or the switcher,
Mm-hmm.
we do see it 4:3, but then just because of the monitor, we're seeing like all.
Yeah, it's all because of this monitor is a widescreen monitor. You know, in fact, let's save this out as a still, okay? And let's go back into the switcher. All right, so let's load these things that we've been working on, okay? So if you're on a camera shot or whatever and it's time to look at these pictures you've saved out, so, you know, we double click, boom, there it is. You want to go to it, you can cut to it, right? Remember, enter is cut, or you can hit cut, or you can choose mix here. I'm going to make sure DSK is not turned on, and then dissolve to it. Same thing with this image here. See? So I've just taken stuff and prepared it for the GlobeCaster. Okay? And the same thing here. So, you know, if you want to go to that, you know. All right? So,
We didn't know how to transport and all that stuff.
well, you know, that's why you hired me. Come in. I would do something probably, you know, I'm a little more, I guess, corporate that way, but I'd probably say, you know, this isn't gonna fly. Let's, yeah, it's not gonna fly.
Educational, everything is.
Yeah, that's cool. We're gonna save this one out and take a look at it. I don't know what that is. Wait, no, you have to, I did that wrong. See how it saved out a link? So you don't want to do that. You want to click on the image. I always go to the full size of it and then drag that out. Okay, so wet phone is what that's called. And back into what application? The character generator. Yeah. Right click parent desktop. There you go. You got this. Drag it in. Now it's probably behind this image. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I selected it and then I just hit backspace and then that brings it in, right?
And if you want to make that phone smaller,
Yeah. Select it. I can't, you know, this is a flat layer, so I can't just grab the phone itself.
oh, okay.
So I gotta grab the whole thing. Now the other thing you might be able to do here, I'm thinking of, is like in the fonts you might find like in Wingdings or something. There's a phone font, you know, like you just have to end up typing a bunch of stuff in there.
Oh, I see, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there might be one.
Clip arts.
Yeah, there might be something in there, but you know, I don't know which one it would be. But you know, that's one way to do it too, is just grab, you know, a thing and bring it in, and you know, maybe you can make the graphic in
Now,
Photoshop or
can you
something.
please show me this on the switcher? I want to see if we can see the like the outer ring
Mm-hmm,
of the
mm-hmm.
DO or not.
Yep. So in the switcher, you'll always be able to see it. This is really just about televisions, you know, like old televisions. But yeah, let's save it out real quick. So we'll save it out and we'll load it up and cut to it. Right. So.
Now, let's say we would have gotten rid of the background, not the phone and and the letters, but just this wallpaper we have here, and we would have saved it as an overlay. Then we would have been able to see through or not.
Uh, well, you could if you create transparency here. So right now it's a solid color. So if I save that out as an overlay, go back into the switcher, load it up. There it is as a downstream key, right? So it's actually right over top of itself. So let's just say, see how it's solid? Now if I come in here, select it, go into the item properties and adjust the alpha channel. Now I can save over the original, load it up, and now you can see through it, right?
Yeah, they paint. No, they paint for epoxy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can get rid of my diesel oil marks.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how you bring files in, right? You just drag them to the desktop or access them from, your hard drive or whatever, and you can work with them that way. And there's a lot of stuff you can do. The other thing that I wanted to point out was that we were talking earlier about what's the difference between a still and an overlay. Well, you just saw there this loaded over here now, as opposed to over here where it loaded a second ago. Same thing with those original downstream key titles that we were working with, that Vance Thornhill. See how Vance Thornhill is loading and showing up in preview over here? I mean, you can't see anything behind that, right? Versus these, which is what we loaded up, which you can see behind it, right? Transparency. Overlay is transparent. Yes, is exactly. Okay, so let's see here. I guess the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create some titles that do not have the background on them, like this gold and red stuff here. And we're just going to take the text and we're going to apply the text to a motion background like this one. Okay, so it just looks a little bit cooler, more interesting, maybe a little bit more 2012. All right. So what this is a project that was made in what's called Animator Compositor, which is our 2D painting program. It's like Photoshop meets After Effects kind of thing. And it gets pretty deep. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do there, but we're going to have to try to stay focused on just bringing in the text and adjust it, and putting it on top of an already made motion background.
Right.
Okay? So let's start there, and then I'm sure we're going to get deeper into it. So what I'm going to teach you now is how to create like a template for the text, and save it out with a bunch of different names, and then apply that template to the template of the background. And then we're gonna we're gonna make a sandwich here basically. The moving stuff is the bread, the text is the stuff in the middle, right? All right, and then we're gonna make it all into one thing. So let's go first into Animator and take a look at it. I'm holding down on Shift and I'm clicking on Animator. Why? So that I can keep the applications that I have open and then open the new application up. All right, see now I have AC in here. I didn't have that before. I had CG and Switcher, but now I have AC as well. That's Animator Compositor. Okay? Now, let's take a second and look at this interface. Just like in the character generator, you need a pen? Just like in the character generator, you've got your, hold on. How's it going? Good. Okay. So just like in the character generator, you've got your sampler over here on the left with a bunch of different stuff, your workspace in the middle, and then some projects that you can work with on the right. Okay. What's different is this timeline down below. Okay. This is an animation tool, so you can actually do stuff, animate things. And then we've got instead of just a red and a blue section, we now have a green section as well. Okay. The red still refers to the object itself that you're working with, and the blue still refers to how you save it out, whether it's a still or an overlay or whatever. The difference is you can adjust layers and animate layers in here as well. We're not really going to get into all that. I just want to give you a little quick tour of the interface. Okay. We are going to use templates. So we're going to go into the bins, RSD, training folder, and then inside of DSKs is the ones that we're going to use today.
Is that because you moved it from some
Yeah.
default
Uh-huh.
location?
I pulled them from another folder called FX DSK1. That's where all these other ones were, right? And so you can click through here and check them out if you want to some other time. But these are all editable, or for the most part, they're all editable. So um, let's go ahead and load one up. So we'll start with this. This one is the one we were just looking at. Okay, now I've loaded it, but that doesn't look the same as this does, right? I mean, you can kind of sort of starts to look the same, but it doesn't look the same. Okay, so what I'm gonna point out here is that this application, this has to do with the green buttons, the new stuff we just saw. You can have multiple layers in this application, and they're all animatable, and they're all different and independent of each other. So what I have is I have two layers. I have the background layer, which is this animated boxes moving around, and then I have the foreground layer, which is the text. And this is really all we're going to be adjusting, guys, is this second layer with the text.
Okay, so just to be clear, because this is opposite, like if you're using a non-linear editors like Final Cut or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Premiere, then usually the top layer is the one you see on front. This is the opposite. The bottom
Yes,
layer is when you okay.
correct.
Yeah, it's just the opposite.
Yep, it's just the opposite. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a big team of software writers, and they didn't really hang out very close. They didn't talk too much. So, so basically, all we care about now. Now, what did I do while we were all kind of just chatting just now? I changed the visible mode from the layer, which is our active, which is whatever layer you've clicked on, right, to all. So now I see all the layers, and that's the combined, complete version of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the layer that has the text on it, which I can kind of make out down here on this thing, is this, and I'm going to change this what this says. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now that I've selected the layer, I'm going to right click on. I can do two things. I can try right clicking on this object, which I've just done, and I'm dragging it around, and choose properties, or I can come down here and expand. You see these little plus signs? I can expand these and look for the graphic here, right? Which is actually this one right here. It's called C GlobeCaster page 2.tfs. How do I know I have it? See when I click on these, how it puts a box around stuff, like that box right there? When I click on that, it's this whole page is what I'm adjusting, basically. Um, so bottom line is all you're going to be modifying on this is literally the bottom line. Okay? I mean, if you were to expand all these things out and look at every single thing in this project, it's just gets, you see all these objects in here, it's crazy. We're not going to adjust any of that stuff. All I want to do is go to the bottom line, and I'm going to change that out. Okay? So what am I going to change it to? That's where character generator comes in, right? I can create something else based off of, this graphic that I have in character generator. Theoretically, I could take the stuff that you guys have already made too and throw it in there. So like, Jorge's graphic, if I wanted to replace this, how would I do that? Pay close attention. So I selected the object. Remember earlier I right clicked in here and chose properties, and it brought this window up. Let's do that again. It might be easier for you to just go to the bottom line, right click and choose properties, getting started. And then in here is where I change that graphic. This little window allows me to change all kinds of stuff. Its opacity, its position on the screen, X and Y position, right? So I can go crazy with this stuff. So I'm just going to undo. Okay. The size of it, I can adjust all this stuff. I don't really care about any of this, but I haven't seen yet what I want to do. I want to change this text. I want to change it's actually a texture in this situation. I want to change that. So I'm going to go to where it says stroke up here, and I'm going to choose texture. Okay. And that's what I want to change. So I'm going to drag and drop Jorge's graphic on there, right? Now it doesn't look good because Jorge's graphic already had background colors, things like that. So what I save out from yeah, what I save out from character generator now, I don't want to have any of that. I just want it to be, text like this is. All right. So let's go into the character generator, and then let's go into our DSK's titles, and that's this one right here. I think you guys may have noticed that earlier when we were working in here, this got double clicked and loaded. All right. So this is where I can edit what this says. Okay. So now let's just say I'm going to call this RSD uh, number 66. I don't know. Summit. Thanks. Okay. And you could say,
Wellness center.
yeah,
Wellness.
or I was going to say 6,000,
Oh yeah.
right? What is it? 10th Street?
South 7th Street.
Okay, so 6,007th Street.
This is actually 10th Street.
Okay. So now I've got this. And at this point, if I want to make any changes to this, maybe I want to move this over. Remember, shift arrows moves that over for me. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically save this out, drag and drop it. I can call it Summit, right? If I want to come in here and rename it, I'll call it Summit. Okay. Go back into Animator, find my Summit, drag and drop it.
So it does refresh here then.
Yeah. So yeah, just the desktop doesn't refresh. All the folders in our stuff do. So now that I've done that, I'm basically finished with this. So I'm gonna just save it out. Now I could, if I wanted to, go back and edit lots of different things in this. Like any of this stuff can be edited, and we'll talk about that. But first, we're gonna all get good at doing what I just did, and then we'll come in and change other stuff. I know, like right now, coming from where we just were, it's like your head is spinning a little bit. There's a lot of stuff going on, but promise you, once we trade places and you start to play around with it, it'll seem like duck soup. So let's just drag and drop this now. So I'm going to save this out. Where am I going to save it? DSKs. Why? Because it is a downstream key. Okay. What am I going to save it as? I'm going to save it as an overlay. Now, you're going to notice that this renders out, and I'm going to rename this. I can rename, in the CG, you can't rename it until after you've saved it. And here you can. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose rename project, and I'm going to call it RSD Summit. Oops. Let me just drag and drop it out. And now it's going to render it out. So it has to render it once, and then after that, you can run it in real time just by double clicking on it. So we'll take a look at that in a second. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and make some names just like we did last time for the super and whatnot, and then we're going to put them on here. So let's look at that in the switcher. So right now it says Roosevelt School District 66 board meet. Go in, double click on Summit. It loads up, and there's the Summit one, right? So what are the steps? The steps are in CG, change the text, save it. In Animator Compositor, replace the texture map and save it. It's 4 steps. Change, save, load, save. Right? Now, there's going to be a lot of accidental right clicks here and where do I go and all that, because it's just, there's more. We just went from the kiddie pool into an Olympic pool, right? There's diving boards and there's people that are swimming in lanes and they want you to get out of their way. All right. Yeah, right. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to stop the recording so we're not just recording ourselves, our mistakes and all that stuff.